this church camp, and I remember always getting saved every event and burning for God, and I remember just wanting that lifestyle and loving that lifestyle, but so many things in my life had happened, such as when I was 7, my dad ended up messing up when he was a minister. He ended up cheating on my mom with a man, and he left our family to pursue this life of homosexuality. He didn't mess up and pick himself back up. He messed up and he hit rock bottom, and he left our family, he left the church, and I had to pick myself up after that. And when I was 14, I just remember longing to be loved. My addiction was relationships. I was addicted to finding someone to love me, to treat me the way I always wanted to be treated. And at 14, I gave my virginity away, and he left me 2 days later. And then after that, I was in a relationship with a 20-year-old who was a cop in my town, and he sexually molested me for 2 years. A lot of the sex that we had was forced. I never really wanted to do it, but I did want him to love me. And he told me that sex was love, and the reason that we did it was because he loved me. And so I stayed with him until I was 16, and then when my mom moved and she got another job being a music minister somewhere else, I moved to a state where I just got into the wrong crowd, the wrong group of girls. Everyone knew at school that I was a pastor's kid. Everyone knew that my family had the biggest church in town. Everyone knew that I was always at the parties. I was always smoking and drinking and hanging out with these girls that were really just dragging me down. But I liked them because they benefited me in a lot of ways, in status and money, and I thought those things were important. I thought what you wore was important, and I thought what car you drove was important, and I thought what people thought about you at school was important. So I would just play the game. I would just go to church. I never really said I was a Christian or loved God. I just went to church because I had to, and I went to the events because I had to. I didn't have a choice. So I would come to events like this and Winterfest, and because I was forced to go, and I would just do it to please my parents, and then I would go back to my old lifestyle when I left, because I was too selfish to get rid of the things that I wanted to love God enough. And so, all through high school, giving myself away, relationship after relationship, looking for guys that would say they love me, and then they would date me, and then they would use me, and then they would leave me, and the cycle would go on, and it would go on, and then I'd be upset a bit. Why do all these guys keep using me and then leaving me? And I had to come to the realization that the reason was because of who I was, and why did I let people use me, and why did I let people do this to me? Because I was insecure, and because I was selfish, and I only wanted them for what they could give me. I didn't love those guys. I didn't love the people that I thought that I loved in these relationships. I was selfish. I wanted somebody to make me feel good about who I was, because I didn't think that I was pretty, and I didn't think that I was good enough. So any relationship I was in, it's only to benefit myself. That's all it was. And so I just went out for my life. I made a decision that I didn't want to be saved, because I saw the church, I saw what went on behind the church, and I saw what went on in the staff, and I said, everyone's hypocrites. I don't want anything to do with it. And I would have these spiritual highs when you come to all these events and you go home and you're like, I'm so on fire for God, I want this so bad, but then you don't really know how to sustain it, and then 2 weeks later it kind of goes off, and you're kind of everything starts like fading away, and you're like, okay, well now the fire's kind of gone, so I'm going to go back to do my own thing again. And that's what my life just consisted of. So I made the decision. I said, I don't want to be compromised, but I also don't want to do the church thing because it never lasts, and it doesn't really benefit me anything, because I was so selfish and all I cared about was what would benefit me. And so around the age of 18 and 19, I moved in with my dad, who was gay, living with him and his boyfriend, going to hair school, thinking that I was like, I can do this without God. I can have a life. I had a boyfriend. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. We were still in sexual sin, and I kind of slowed down the partying life. But I made a decision. I said, I can do this without God. I'm on the right track. I'm almost done. I had a really good job offer. I was like, I had money. I have a really nice car. Like, this might work out. I might be able to do it. My family, my mom would keep praying for me, keep saying, Lindsay, you know that you're never going to do this. And the whole time, I knew I had a call in my life. From the age of 7 and 8, people would prophesy to me, like, you have a call in your life. You're gonna speak to women one day. You're going to change a generation one day. And I always heard those things, and I was like, yeah, right. So I thought that I would just do the normal life thing, and that's what I did, and I was headed down that track. And I got to this point in my life where I got really, really uncomfortable in my skin. I got really uncomfortable in where I was headed, really uncomfortable with where my occupation was going, and the person that I was dating. And God began to speak to me in my alone time. And when I would be in my room, He would speak to me, and He would be like, my beloved. I just kept hearing that word, my beloved. I want you back. I want you back. And I went to a Winterfest with my mom just because she asked me to go. I wanted to visit her, and I didn't want to do it because I knew it would just be another church high. And was. And he said, tonight is the night and you are the one. And when he spoke those words to me, I honestly could never back down, because I literally heard the voice of God saying, tonight is the night you're the one. You can no longer go back to your old situation and live normal again. You can no longer do it again. I never knew that I would be on platforms. I never knew that I'd be giving my testimony. I never knew anything like that. All I knew is that God gave me a word and said, you are called. And so what I did is I went home and I left everything behind. I left my relationship of 2 years behind. I left my job. I quit school. I was almost done. I had 6 weeks left. Dry